Welcome back to Barrel Brothers, and this week we're on the Sunny Truck. Like and subscribe. Helps me out a little bit. I think the money we're getting off YouTube now pays for almost a quarter of an episode. Stay tuned. Sunny Truck stuff coming up. Just Jap has come through with the goods. Let me measure some stuff up, and that looks to be the right thread. We might have to do a little bit of fettling to get these to fit, but we've got some inserts. So all the stuff I did yesterday has got to come back out again, and we'll put these in and go from there. I'm also going to show you today the difference between a good shot and a not good one. But first, I have to take it out of the car. As I take these out, I'm going to see what fits and what doesn't. If stuff doesn't fit, then I'll have to get them from Just Jap. But I got new boots. The other ones were stuffed, and some new stops too. See how that one's got a little taper in it? We figured that one is for the seal there. Instead of like coming butt up against it, put it up that way. That's the theory. The first thing we need to do is see if our adjusters fit. Job number one. It looks very similar. Answer looks to be no, it doesn't. So that makes me wonder whether that one's going to fit or not. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 30. 30, so same as that. Interdasting. It looks to be exactly the same thread. We'll take that nut off and see what the story is. Geez, I did that up tight. This one should be easier to get out than that one, because this one, if you push the shaft down, it stays down. That one is still a good shock, so it'll come back up. So, moment of truth. That's a resounding yes. So that means this one should also fit. Yeah, it does. Look at that. All right, we'll take those back off for the time being. Okay, first sign of a bad shock. Bad gas shock. Goes down, stays down. Before we start undoing any of this stuff, we need to do a few measurements. So we know the gap between there and there is 40 millimeters. We need to know where we are between there and the top of the shock, so we can get something that approximates that on this one. 200 millimeters. 200 millimeters, remember that please. This is a bit annoying. I've got to wind it down to get the spring out so I can wind it back up and all the way out of it. And it's in a long way. But once we get it out, that's when we'll be able to really tell how close it is to the new ones, which is right here. Ooh, that's a lot stiffer. That one's shot. There it goes. Ta-da. If I didn't know better, I'd say that that's a BC strut in that shock. When you take these out, always make sure that your bearing's good. A lot of the time these guys here are the problem, because that's part of, with the strut, that's part of your steering. Okay, so that your shaft is turning in that. Always check it. And they're easy enough to pop out and put a new one in. Nothing to it. Spring. Similar but not the same. Now we'll just take half an hour to wind this out and we should be good to go. Oh. Triumph! Alright, let's do some measuring up and see what the story is. At first glance, these are similar but different. Okay, so these were slightly different. The other thing is, this is brown, anodized brown, or just brown, and that one's not. Shafts seem a similar size. That's a bit telling, isn't it? So, hang on. Let's just wind this off to its softest. Wind them both off to the softest, and let's have a look at the difference. Right, that's as soft as it'll go. Your first port of call, and you notice there's slightly different lengths. First port of call is, notice this is all the way up, and that one's not. If it's a gas shock, oh. Can you see that? Here, I'll demonstrate it a bit closer. Okay, you ready? Let's it go. Oh dear. That's not good at all, is it? If your shock's doing this, throw it away. Right, it's not a shock. The shock absorber is that. That's what actually absorbs the shock. This thing stops the oscillations. So this, if this without this, you go down the road and boing, 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 boing. All right, so what this does is it stops it, so it should go down and come back up again. And you, but like this on the other hand, oh, good grief. That tells you right there, watch. Straight back up again. All right, so the next thing we'll have a look at, and this is the big one, is it the same thread? These are 50mm diameter with a 1.5mm thread pitch. Dun, dun, dun. This doesn't go on here, we're screwed. Winner. Whee! So I know all that stuff fits. All right, so notice the difference in it keeps falling down, in shock length. So this has got a little bit more stroke because it's got the long body here, but the thing was, we had this wound in to about there, so that much was in the bottom. It really not going to make much difference. Oh dear. So what's actually happened to this guy? Okay, so, well, the first thing we know is that all the gases come out. Oh, what do they put in it? Probably nitrogen. Let's look it up. Nitrogen. Okay, nitrogen's got a couple of things that are good about it. One is that when it heats up, it doesn't expand like oxygen, which makes it good for applications like this. And nitrogen, when you put it in your tyres too, the thing about nitrogen molecules is they are quite a bit bigger than oxygen ones. So nitrogen into your tyres when you go out on the track means that the pressure won't go up as the tyres heat up. The other thing about nitrogen is the actual molecules are larger. So oxygen molecule, nitrogen molecule. And a lot of the time your tyres will go down just by simple oxygen escaping out through the wall of the tyre. Whereas the nitrogen can't because it's too big. So yeah, so this has got no gas in it, obviously. It's got something in it. Gee, it's like it goes to there and then suddenly goes easy. That first little bit of there's just nothing going on. There's got to be something in there because it does have some resistance. But there was oil on the bottom of it. Actually, what I should do is dip the leg to see if there's anything in the bottom of it. I mean, you should oil this anyway, and I'll be doing that before I put this one in. Is run some oil down here when I screw these up, you know, just to keep those threads. Otherwise, they kind of lock up into themselves, which ain't a real good thing. You know, they are sort of copping a bit of dirt and whatnot. That's where these guys come in. This one's a bit dirty because the other boot was all split and buggered basically. All right, we'll go and check out the shock and see what the story is. Shock leg and see what the story is. There's oil in there. There's oil in them there shocks. That little bit won't matter. All right, so there is a little bit of oil in the leg, but I'd say it's probably not out of the shock. It's probably the oil that I've put on the thread just to stop them locking up. But yeah, good idea to do. Doesn't need much, needs more than that. There we go. Okay, so spring seat first. 1.5mm thread, which means a lot of bloody turns to get it up. What we want to do here basically is capture the spring. So that sits down on there with your isolator. This guy sits on top of there, like that. And this guy goes on top of that again. So that actually, that's good. Drop it on the floor. That sits in there, like that. This guy sits on there like that. Needs to go down a little bit, as you can see. So this needs to come up. So basically we need to come up to there. So we just capture the spring so it's not flopping around in there. There you go. Just down against it. Now, there you have it. And I know from the measurements yesterday that my gap between these two was 45 millimeters. So I can just about set this right. I know that's about right now. So tedious winding these up and down. You don't have to stay for that. That's basically how it should sit, 45 millimeters in there. Nothing's tight because we needed to get it in the car first and actually have everything sitting where it's going to be. So I'll have that much screwed down into the body itself, whereas before we had about an extra 25 mil thereabouts. But like, that's plenty. If you've got that much screwed into your car, you need to stop driving your four-wheel drive, okay? Because low is cool. Except if you're four-wheel driving, then low isn't cool. But I digress. Let's go and put it back in the car.
1.5 mil thread pitch, I like. Easy to cross thread, hard to get started.
Apparently these were, talking to the BC guys, so the Just Jap guys yesterday, these were designed for a 6 kilo spring for a Celica, apparently. Celica, sorry. We've only got our 4 kilo in there, so we're going to have to sort of button the damping off a fair bit just to see if we can get our ride back too. But it should, the control should be bloody heaps better. But we'll do our usual trick of, you know, just start off on 0 or 1 or 2 basically, and then drive it round and wind it up until it stops bouncing, which is impossible to do with that shock that we've just taken out. That's all we'll do here for the moment. I don't want to put all the top in and everything and bolt it back up because, I mean, we could put the spring in, but we need this hanging down because the other one, this one was easy to get out because you could push the top down. That one's going to be a little bit more tricky because you can't. So we'll get stuck into taking that one out now. A bit of luck, this will drop down. Should have brought my ratchet spanner out, shouldn't I? That's it there. So we're actually going to have to unhook the locking ring and screw it down into the shock body to oh, we get, well, there you go. Now still going to have to undo that. I hate it when that happens. Jesus, how tight did I do that? And there she is. Top nut, spacer, bearing, spring, and now the tedious unscrewing bit. Best to have those in good condition. I mean, that could be why the shock is heavy. I put a bit of 556 on that and just let it trickle down. Yeah, I think dirt's gotten down into the thread there. That one really didn't want to come out, and you can see there's a little bit of thread there. See, it's all shiny from here down. Mostly, once I got past that little bit, then it screwed out easy. So it's galled a little bit and picked up on the thread on the way through. So I'm going to clean out the leg, make sure that's nice and clean before I put the new one in. It works, but it's still quite a bit softer than the other one. Like I can't budge those like that. Interesting, there's a bit of discoloration just there. Wonder why. So that's got that movement too. Look, first little bit just goes chunk, easy. This one on the other hand, oh. They're both wound right back off. Goodbye. I prefer to use a thicker oil on the threads rather than the 556. This is very thin and it washes off. This takes a little bit more to get rid of. I just need to clean that up. Do it better without looking at it. Winding, winding, winding. You don't need to see that. Okay, time to put all this back together. I had a bit of lunch. Righty. Now I've got to get that over there. This is going to be tricky because the shocks are a lot taller. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to wind those down into the strut. And I can't just push it down like that shitty one. Bugger. I need it down far enough to get that over the top. Because I need that the shaft up through there. So I need that shaft down far enough that I can poke it up back through. So I get all three. Yeah, there we go. If I get them up like that, I should be able to move this across. And Bob's your uncle. Might need a wheel alignment after this too. Just because, you know, there's everything can move a little bit. Will that nut reach? Not quite. Anyway, other side. Oops. I think I have to wind this one down too. Where do I put the top of this one? There it is. Right here. Good idea to give everything a clean and oil on the way back in. Oil is your friend when it comes to automotive stuff. There's no way in hell I'm going to get that in. But give it a try to start off with. How come this one went straight in? Must have been the angle of the dangle. Did anybody see my deliberate mistake? Where did I put it? There it is. There we go. Question is, did I put that spacer on the other side? Honestly, I can't tell you. Let's check. Yeah, there it is. So if we just jack that up a little bit, that should pop up. We'll be able to put the nut on top, and then we can start fettling everything and getting the heights right and all that BS. I should only have to jack one side up too, because of the stabiliser bar, it should pull the other side up. So, to people that make ratchet spanners, this is a pain in the bum. Okay. You want to put it like, get your angle right and have it just enough friction for it to stay there. Makes all the difference. We need to tighten these guys up, and then we'll go to work underneath, get the spring heights right, and get them locked up, and then put it back on the ground and see where it's actually sitting. I think we'll start off in pretty much SFA on the damping, and we'll do that on the road, probably on the way home. Or I could always drive that home. I've done stuff to that too, so I want to drive that, but I want to drive this. They're both fun cars to drive. They really are. So now I need my normal spanner. Favourite 17. See, it's got little grind marks on the side here. God knows what job that was for. I've had this spanner so long, it was probably on my old HR31, which I haven't had for quite some years. Hey Christian, hope you're looking after it. I know you are. You know, it's really good when you sell one of your cars on that you really loved, and the next person that gets it really loves it too. So I've had a few cars leave here over the years, but there's two in particular that I absolutely love to bitch. One of them bits. Love to bits, which is the HR31, the black over grey one, which was just a freaking awesome car. And the 260C Coupe, the big green coupe, that was a terrific old car, and that is lathered in wax, and it's just love to bits. So really good to see your old cars doing a lot. There's a few of them, there's a couple of them have been crashed, so, which is unfortunate. Those people didn't care enough. Anyway, I digress. Spanner's just not quite thin enough. I'll see if I've got another one. And that's an alloy nut under there, so you really don't need to tighten that at all. And people using alloy wheel nuts alloy wheel nuts, throw them away, okay? Steel wheel nuts. Unless you're a race team that like throws them away after it. Look, alloy wheel nuts are a single-use item, and for the weight they're going to save, really? They do steel wheel nuts in all the colours now, so go and get them instead. Yeah, another one of my pet hates, alloy wheel nuts. Cool. Okay, we're back under the wheel arches. We've got the spring captured, so I can move that like that, but I can't move it up and down, which is perfect. And then we need 45 millimeters in here, between that one and this one, and that should give us the same ride height as we had before. It might actually sit up a little bit higher because these shocks have actually got gas in them. That's 45. Spaniel. .45 on the knocker. Tighten this one up first, and then we'll tighten the top two together. I always give these a knock with a hammer because I have had them come loose in the past, and they slowly wind themselves down, which is not ideal. And we'll lock that one to this one. That side should be good to go. Okay, this one has a little bit of movement, so that spring seat has got to come up slightly. I need to lock it in first. It was that easy. All right, so you want to just capture that. There, just so you've got no up and down movement on the spring, but you can still swivel it. All right, let's look. These two together-ish. Ooh. That's sitting on a hose. Sorry for making you all ill there for a moment. You've got to think about it. Every time you go to tighten or loosen these, you've got to figure out which way around you want your spanners. Okay. Unlock that one. And we want 45, which is about there. Check, check, check. 45 on the knocker. So lock this one up. Perfecto. Okay, we're good to go. Just check that, make sure it didn't come loose. Always got to check that one. When you're locking that, you get a couple of taps. It can actually loosen this one as well. So always go back and check. We're all locked in position, and let's put some wheels on it and get it on the ground. This is just to show you that nobody's infallible. I know you thought I was perfect, but don't protest. I know, look, I am not perfect. I'm humble, see, humble. Not something that you'll see offered on my car. Okay, so here's the deal. What I did was I got a bit greedy with width on the old wheels, and forgot the fact that I'm running some fairly sizable roll center adjusters. Now what a roll center adjuster is, when you lower your car, it also raises the roll center, which affects these guys directly, okay? So that brings that upwards. So now your steering arm's on an angle. So when it goes up and down, instead of being like that, where the in and out movement is actually very small, it's now up like this, where instead of going like this, it's now going like that. So as you go over a bump, you get bump steer to buggery, all right? So you go over a bump, it compresses, actually pulls the wheel out, okay? Can you imagine that? So normally going over a bump like that, yeah, no worries. But if your car is already like that, as you go over the bump, it goes like this, which means that's staying still, and this is steering in and out. That's bump steer. So what you do, or the trick with that, is roll center adjusters, which are sitting behind here, underneath that and above the knuckle. and that raises the effective height of this compared to that. Now, the problem with that is, if your barrels, notice this little rub mark here, right there, if your barrels on your wheel are a little bit wide, shall we say, and this is a 9-inch, it's 14 by 9 minus 16. If you look just here, see this rub mark on the edge of the barrel? Yeah, that's a problem. So I've had to put a 5mm spacer on. I mean, ideally for this width, it needs narrower barrels on it, is what it actually needs. But how the hell do I do that? Yeah, it needs narrower barrels. Probably 1/2 inch would do the job. These are, how wide are these? Where's my rule? These are 4.5 inch inners. So we really need a 4-inch on there instead of a 4.5. If you feel some grittiness when you're putting your wheel nuts on, don't clean them out. All it's going to do is chew up your thread. Also, a bit of this stuff on the threads, never sees. This is, God, this is a wonder the label hasn't fallen off this one. But it's, put a little bit on the thread. Well, I've actually already done this side, but I'll do the other side. How unprofessional. Just security checking up to see if I'm okay. Well, actually, to see why I haven't locked the place and armed it. Interestingly, having balanced them, this wheel needed 5 grams. The other side needed 30. So I peeled everything off. Once the weights were off, it came back to 20 and, well no, 30 and 20. But it needed 30 on the opposite side of the weights are on, so something's up the doobry. But that could have been because the shock wasn't controlling the wheel, and it could have been doing this, you know. So they go out of balance, people. Always put them on, a couple of threads with your fingers first. Don't just chuck them in your rattle gun and cross thread them. And don't do them up to 1,000,000 either, because if you're stretching those studs, eventually they will break, and then you're sitting on the side of the road with no, it's got to be skull dragged onto the back of a flatbed. So yeah, I just nip them up with this, and I generally run around with the, once it's on the ground, run around with the torque wrench, torque them up to the normal torque. But yeah, don't do them up to 1,000,000, all it does is stretch them. Let's get it on the ground and see where we're sitting. Probably about right. I should have measured the sill gap before I jacked it up. Let's just rock it forwards a little bit. That was probably a little far. Come on, Mark, try and put your head through the window that's closed. At least I didn't try and spit out of it. Got a little rattle on the exhaust. I know what it is. I've got to get under there and fix it. How's that look? How's that look? That looks about right to me. Alrighty, let's go and find some bumps. First one coming down off here. It's quite solid. These are on the lowest setting at the moment. Coming down off there, they felt pretty good actually. No bounce whatsoever. I think these are set up for a 6 kilo spring, and they've only got a 4 on them. That's not bad. Just shut the gate. The other thing about that other, like one of the shocks was shot, the other one was fairly soft. It could have been set up for, I don't know why it had an 8 kilo spring. That's probably why it was having so much trouble controlling it. It wasn't very well matched to the spring rate. But I mean, the spring rate wasn't very well matched to the car either. That's really good. As you can see there, just like boom, boom. Bit of a bump here. riding them really well. Which is a good thing. I mean, the springs will sag a little bit over time, and the shock absorbers themselves, or the dampers, will wear. They all do, and that's the whole point of having adjustables. So you can, actually that's really good. It's the whole point of having adjustables, so you can, as they wear, it starts to bounce again, you can come up a couple of clicks to take it out. Here's a bump. That's fine. That's great. He's off to the pub. That's the infamous Viking Hotel I used to be. Had a bit of an incident there with some bikies quite a few years ago, where they got a bit stroppy with each other and people ended up dead, which is never a good thing. That's riding really well. I think I'll just leave it at that. I'll be able to tell a bit better, as I said, when we're on the freeway, but mate, that's great. That's sitting really well. Needs a wheel alignment, I think, now, just to make sure everything's pointing in the right direction. There's a couple of bumps down around the corner here that we can try out. But I think that's fine as it is. Used to be a good bump there, and then they resurfaced the road and made it all nice and smooth. Alrighty, so that's the end of this episode. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time on the Barrel Brothers channel. Look after yourselves, like and subscribe, and don't do anything stupid. See yous. BC coilovers. Yeah. Come on, tell me how good they are. So we're basically 200 mil from there to there. I left my rule outside. Bugger. How are we over here? Ooh! What am I doing here? That's right, I'm doing that. Not that one. That one. I just have to turn these off 15 times. Got to fix the exhaust now.